morning, I'm Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. It's Democracy Day today. The day is being observed by organizing various programs across the country to commemorate the establishment of democracy. The Mahasamiti meeting of Nepali Congress scheduled to begin from today. Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba to inaugurate the meeting at 1 p.m. Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz warns that unless Hamas frees all hostages held in Gaza by 10th of March, an offensive will be launched in Rafah. And a national women's cricket team returns home after losing to Malaysia in a thrilling semi-final. Fails to qualify for the Asia Cup. It's Democracy Day today. The day is being observed across the country by organizing various programs to commemorate the establishment of democracy in the country. Democracy Day is observed on 7th of the Nepali month of Fagun annually to commemorate democracy that was established in the country on 18th February 1951 after overthrowing the 104-year-old autocratic Rana regime. The day is also considered the foundation of all political changes so far. The Mahasamiti meeting of Nepali Congress is scheduled to begin from today. Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba is scheduled to inaugurate the meeting at 1 p.m. later today. The party has said that 2,200 party office bearers from across the country have reached Kathmandu to participate in the meeting that will continue for 3 days and that all preparations have been completed. During the meeting, Party Vice President Puna Bahadur Khadka is to present policy report, General Secretary Gagan Thapa will present organizational report, and another General Secretary Bishwa Prakash Sharma will present political report. Likewise, Minister for Finance Prakash Sharan Mahat is scheduled to present financial report, and Central Member Shyam Ghimire will present a report prepared by the Accounts Committee of the party. The Korean language test under the Employment Permit System (EPS) is scheduled to begin from today. The EPS office has said that all preparations have been complete. More than 163,000 examinees are expected to appear the examination. The first phase of the examination will continue until 6th of April. 1,000 youths are set to appear the examination on a daily basis, which will be held at National Institute of Training Center, Lalitpur, in 5 sessions. The South Korean government had started taking the examination using modern technology through a tablet from last year with a view to maintain transparency. The EPS office has said that the Korean language test will be conducted until the 1st of Nepali month of Posh next year. It is expected to take more than 10 months to conclude the examination due to a large number of applicants. Meanwhile, the officials at the Ministry of Labour has been urging the South Korean authorities to conclude the test at the earliest. In the meantime, only 16,000 examinees will be selected for employment opportunities in South Korea. 3 names have been recommended for the post of the Vice Chancellor of the Tribhuvan University. The Vice Chancellor Selection and Recommendation Committee led by Minister for Education Ashok Rai, who is also the Pro-Chancellor of the university, recommended Professor Chitra Bahadur Burathoki, Professor Keshar Jang Baral and Professor Tankanath Dhamala for the post. Burathoki is the Dean of Faculty of Education at TU, Baral is the former Vice Chancellor of Pokhara University, and Dhamala is the head of the Central Department of Mathematics at Tribhuvan University. The Ministry for Education has said that 3 candidates who had received the highest scores from the presentation and interview yesterday had been recommended for the post. 43 applications had been filed for the post of the Vice Chancellor. 14 out of all the applicants had been interviewed yesterday. Kantipur Publications has marked its 32nd anniversary. Kantipur Publications has pledged to give continuity to its responsibility of raising voices to institutionalize journalism in favor of freedom of speech and free politics. On the occasion of the 32nd anniversary of the entity, chairperson of Kantipur Media Group, Kailash Siroya, said that total freedom of the press envisioned by the Constitution of Nepal is the principle of democracy, federalism and secularism. He clarified that it is the responsibility of Kantipur to caution those who work against the said principle. Over 40,000 participants from 92 different countries gathered in Nepal's capital, Kathmandu, for the World Social Forum to dwell on issues like economic inequality, migration, xenophobia, and all forms of discrimination and gender, among others. But climate crisis as an overarching and cross-cutting issue had relevance on most of the themes of the event.
Of all the deaths from weather, climate and water hazards, at least 90% occur in developing countries, according to the United Nations. The World Bank says 82% of the deaths occur in low and lower middle income countries, and for a least developed and least polluter country like Nepal, the cost of climate crisis has been heavy, which is why the discussion for climate justice at platforms like the World Social Forum becomes imperative.
जति पनि शक्तिशाली देशहरूले शक्ति सम्पन्न देशहरूले जसका कारणले गर्दाखेरि यहाँ असर परिरहेछ हाम्रो आफ्नै कारणले कम परिरहेछ बाहिर कारणले धेरै परेछ नि त्यो विषयमा पनि उनीहरूले हामीलाई दिने अनुदानदेखि हाम्रो सहायताहरू अब क्लाइमेट फन्डको कुराहरुमा चाहिँ नेपाल जस्तो देशहरूलाई जस्टिसका हिसाबले पनि न्याय गरेर त्यसलाई त्यो खालको प्रमोट गर्न पर्यो त्यो खालको एक्सेस हुन पर्यो भन्ने कुराहरु हो.
Climate justice demands that the burdens of climate change should be shared fairly. It emphasizes the responsibility of developed nations in addressing the impacts of climate change, as historically they have contributed significantly to greenhouse gas emissions. But extreme weather events have been a reality of present, and marginalized communities of Nepal often bear the highest brunt, facing displacement, food insecurity, and economic hardship. And in them, it's the women and children that face the most impact.
पानी ल्याउने कामहरु महिलाकै हो, खाना बनाउने काम महिलाको हो, त्यसैले पानीका मुहानहरु सुक्दै गएका छन्. त्यसको असर प्रत्यक्ष उसको चाहिँ खाद्यान्नमा असर परेछ, कृषिमा असर परेको छ, उब्जनी कम भएको छ. उब्जनी कम भएपछि पौष्टिक आहारमा पनि कमी भएको देखेछ.
At COP28 in Dubai last December, world leaders agreed to establish a loss and damage fund. It was hailed as a milestone achievement, but experts back home call for adequate homework on part of the government to be able to access the fund.
हामीले अब यस्तो कोष बनिरहँदा आजको भोलि नै रकमहरु आइहाल्ने होइन. त्यसकारणले हामीसँग केही समय चाहिँ हाम्रो आन्तरिक रूपमा चाहिँ संरचनागत हिसाबले हेर्दाखेरि, नीतिगत हिसाबले हेर्दाखेरि, हाम्रो कार्यान्वयनका जुन विषयहरु छन् ती सबै कुराहरु यस्तो रकम ल्याएर चाहिँ खर्च गर्दाखेरि त्यो भित्र आन्तरिक तयारी छ कि छैन भन्ने महत्त्वपूर्ण कुरा हो. तलसम्म जुन पालिका लेभलसम्म पुर्याएर चाहिँ जुन क्षमता अभिवृद्धि गर्नुपर्ने कुराहरु छ त्यसमा तयारी गर्ने. भोलिको दिनमा जब कोष बनेर एक खालको फंक्सनल भइसक्छ त्यसपछि हामीले त्यसमा चाहिँ हाम्रो प्रोजेक्टहरु अथवा हाम्रो जुन असरहरुलाई त्यहाँ लिएर गएर चाहिँ हामीले रकम ल्याउने र ती संयन्त्र मार्फत चाहिँ खर्च गर्न सकिएको खण्डमा चाहिँ हामीले चाहिँ हाम्रो जनतालाई चाहिँ न्याय गर्न सक्छौं भन्ने लाग्छ.
The government of Nepal has goals under the nationally determined contributions and the national adaptation plans as its policies to address climate crisis. Some of it, experts say, are overambitious in the current scenario, and that political ownership has also been very low.
यी सबै कुराहरुमा प्रतिबद्धता मात्रै भएर भएन, लेखेर मात्रै पनि भएन. अब एक्सनमा जाऊ, काम गर, जीवन यापनमा चेन्ज आउनु पर्यो. नागरिकको जीवन स्तरमा जबसम्म परिवर्तन आउँदैन, व्यवस्था परिवर्तनले केही हुने वाला छैन. त्यही भएर नागरिकहरुकै जीवन स्तरमा परिवर्तन आउने गरी उनीहरुले अनुभूति गर्ने गरी काम गर भन्ने कुरामा संसदको, हाम्रो राष्ट्रिय सभा सिंहको, समितिहरुको हामी सबैको त्यसमा फोकस छ र सरकारलाई त्यसप्रति उत्तरदायी जिम्मेवारी बनाउन कोसिसहरु भइरहेछ.
As summer and monsoon arrive, deaths due to rain-induced disasters and communicable diseases will be a harsh reality for Nepal. Hence, the onus is on the government to ensure adequate homework to meet its climate mitigation and adaptation goal, and on the developed countries to ensure climate justice. Sarah Sapsanama for Kantipur News, Kathmandu.
In our Public Voice segment, we had asked people in several provinces if they think the government and the parliament are focused on issues of public concern. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
काम गर्न नसक्ने जनता बिरुवाको यथावत महँगी त्यतिकै बढेछ.
जनताप्रति उहाँहरू उत्तरदायी हुनुहुन्न
उहाँहरु चाहिँ कसरी आफ्नो चाहिँ सत्ता टिकाउने कसरी आफू सत्तामा बसिरहने भन्ने कुरामा मात्रै बढी ध्यान छ
बेरोजगार भएर विदेशिनु परेको त्यो विषयमा उहाँहरुले बोल्ने मौका फुर्सदै छैन
काण्ड यताउति काण्ड पनि खासै संलग्न देखिन्न जो सानोतिनो झिनामसिना छ उनीहरुलाई मात्रै समातेको भेटिन्छ
सर्वसाधारण हामीहरुको कुरा कहिले पनि सुनेको छैन
एकअर्कालाई दोष लाउँछ के गर्छ तर कार्यान्वयन चाहिँ भएको देखिदैन
आफ्नो आफ्नो क्षेत्रका पनि बहुतै कमै जनताको पीरमार्काहरु चाहिँ भन्छन्
2-3 जना सांसदले उठाएको तर कति कार्यान्वयन भयो त्यो चाहिँ हामीले अनुमति गर्न पाछन्
Time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's the question. What should be done to ensure the timely completion of Kathmandu-Tarai Madesh fast track? Your options are A. Erase legal complications, B. Flexibility from government, and C. Monitoring and regulation. Voting is on. Type any WS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for international update. Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz has warned that unless Hamas frees all hostages held in Gaza by 10 March, an offensive will be launched in Rafah. It is the first time Israel has said when its troops might enter Gaza's overcrowded southern city. Global opposition is growing to such an attack in Rafah, where some 1.5 million Palestinians are sheltering. Gantz added that Israel would act in a coordinated manner, facilitating the evacuation of civilians in dialogue with their American and Egyptian partners to minimize civilian casualties. But Israeli officials have yet to give any details of an evacuation plan, he added. Despite continued fighting in Gaza, efforts to broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas have been taking place in Cairo in recent days, although Qatari mediators said progress was not very promising. Meanwhile, Israel yesterday formalized its opposition to what it called the unilateral recognition of Palestinian statehood and said that any such agreement must be reached through direct negotiations. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu brought the declaratory decision to a vote in cabinet, which unanimously approved the measure. The United Nations, the International Court of Justice, today opens a week of hearings on the legal consequences of Israel's occupation of Palestinian territories, with more than 50 states due to address the judges. Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Maliki will speak first in the legal proceedings at the court, in fact the World Court in The Hague. In 2022, the UN General Assembly asked the court for an advisory or a non-binding opinion on the occupation. It is the second time the UN General Assembly has asked the ICJ, also known as the World Court, for an advisory opinion related to the occupied Palestinian territory. In July 2004, the World Court found that Israel's separation wall in the West Bank violated international law and should be dismantled, though it still stands to this day. The General Assembly also asked the ICJ's 15-judge panel to advise on how those policies and practices affect the legal status of the occupation and what legal consequences arise for all countries and the United Nations from this status. The advisory opinion proceedings are separate from the genocide case that South Africa filed at the World Court against Israel for its alleged violations in Gaza of the 1948 Genocide Convention. In January 26, the ICJ in that case ordered Israel to do everything in its power to prevent acts of genocide in Gaza. The outcome of the advisory opinion would not be legally binding but would carry great legal weight and moral authority, according to the ICJ. Indian farmers continued to pause their march towards Delhi today after the fourth round of talks with government ministers. Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and Junior Minister of Agriculture Arjun Munda were among the government officials attending the talks, where a proposal regarding minimum support price for crop diversification was presented. The proposal promises a guaranteed minimum price to farmers for growing specific pulses and corn that would be given by government cooperatives. The farmers said they would deliberate on proposals with experts and pause their march until February 21. Thousands of farmers had embarked on the Delhi Chalo or Let's Go to Delhi march earlier this week to press the government to set a minimum price for their produce, but they were stopped by security forces about 200 kilometers away from the capital, triggering clashes. The farmers have remained camped on the border between Punjab and Haryana states since Friday. Security forces have used concrete and metal barricades to stop them from advancing. Some 900 tons of lithium batteries were on fire at a battery recycling plant in southern France, sending a cloud of thick black smoke into the sky above the site. The fire broke out on Saturday in a warehouse owned by French recycling group SNAM in Viviers, north of Toulouse. Lithium batteries are vital in electrical devices from phones to electric cars, but contain combustible materials which, combined with the energy they store, can make them vulnerable to catching fire when exposed to heat, a potential danger given the toxic materials their burning can emit. The prefecture said in a statement overnight that while the fire was under control, it was burning slowly and was expected to last for several hours. A security note for the site warns that in case of a major fire, products present there will likely result in the emission of cadmium through fumes. Cadmium is highly toxic and dangerous to the environment, but the note said that considering the environment of the factory and the behavior of toxic fumes, these should not pose an immediate health risk to residents. Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. It's Democracy Day today, the day being observed by organizing various programs across the country to commemorate the establishment of democracy. The Mahasamiti meeting of Nepali Congress scheduled to begin from today. Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba to inaugurate the meeting at 1 p.m. Israeli War Cabinet member Benny Gantz warns that unless Hamas frees all hostages held in Gaza by 10th of March, an offensive will be launched in Rafah. And a national women's cricket team returns home after losing to Malaysia in a thrilling semi-final, fails to qualify for the Asia Cup. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Good day.